Hello, my name is Riley. Can I just get your name and spelling for the record, please?
My name is Alex Young. That's Alexyoung.
Is Alex short for anything?
Alexander. Alexander.
Great, great. And can I get your birthday and home address and just general information about yourself?
My birth date is January 29th, 1999. My home address is 6 Creston Avenue, Burlington, Massachusetts, 01803. And a little bit about myself. Um, I'm a college student studying communications and sports marketing. I enjoy sports in general. I enjoy writing, hanging out with my friends, listening to music, and yeah,
Okay, cool. Where do you go to school?
Salem State University.
What year are you?
In my third year, on track to graduate in 4.5 years.
Oh, great. Now, has this COVID pandemic affected you at all?
It's definitely affected like my ability to do work at school using the resources that they have to offer, such as Mac labs and libraries. I can't access all of the resources, which made it more difficult to get work done. But other than that, it's just been a hard adjustment period.
And when you were in school before the pandemic, did you live on campus or were you a commuter?
So this year, I'm currently a commuter, but the past 2 years I was on campus.
All right. And you said you were into sports. How has the pandemic been affecting those and being able to watch them and things like that?
There's pretty much been no sports for the past almost 3 months now, which is a little bit crazy to think about, but it's been affecting every single major sports. NBA, baseball is in season right now, is starting up. All of the soccer leagues around the world have closed down, so you've been unable to watch like any sports that you would want to, which has made it difficult to pass any time because I spent 5 hours a day watching sports.
All right. Well, so if you were to talk me through like your average day during this pandemic, how would you describe what you've been doing?
It's definitely repetitive. Um, I wake up usually between 8 and 10, and then I have breakfast and I get to work on my computer. And I usually work from about 10:30 to 2, and then I take a break for lunch, get back to work, and do a little bit of exercise before dinner. And then after dinner, I get back to work and play a little bit of video games to unwind for the day. But it's essentially the same thing over and over and over again. So it's a little it's a little repetitive.
What kind of schoolwork have you been doing?
So I took 5 courses this semester, and all of them except one were revolving around communications or public relations, which is my major and concentration is public relations.
Now, is,
Um, but one of the other classes, just to add, one of the other classes I'm taking is a weather and climate lab and class attached to one another to fulfill my science requirement. But other than that, pretty much my entire semester is around PR.
now is that a typical course load for you?
So my first 2 semesters in school, I took 5 classes, and I withdrew for my second semester. That would be my spring freshman semester because the courseload was too heavy for me and I wasn't ready for the college adjustment. But for the past 3 semesters, I've been taking 5 classes again to catch up. So at this point, it's normal again. Yes.
Oh, congratulations on getting back on track.
Thank you.
So outside of this interview, we've been talking a little back and forth, and you seem to be very devoted to all of your schoolwork and everything. So I know you described your average day for me, but how many hours would you say every day that you've been doing your schoolwork?
Ooh, the average weekday, I would say, for the amount of schoolwork I'm doing is around probably 7 or 8 hours worth. which is definitely more than I've been used to doing while we were on campus. Mostly because of the lack of participation and in-class assignments that we have availability to do. So everything's been online at home, busy work. So around 7 or 8 hours.
So, in your opinion, would you say that you've been getting more or less work due to the pandemic that's
definitely
going on?
more work? I wouldn't necessarily say that the work I'm getting is more difficult, but it might even be a little bit less difficult due to the circumstances and having to readjust syllabuses. But I would say overall, it's definitely more work to do.
Yeah, I agree. In one of my classes, before the pandemic, we had only had 2 remaining assignments left to do. We had a short paper and a just the final exam. But then once we switched it to do online, we now have a bunch of discussion posts in place of the paper, and then a just like review of the chapters. We had to write like chapter summaries.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, it's definitely been a lot more work, but it's been pretty easy and pretty easy to handle.
Yeah, it's definitely been less difficult work, but just more of it and a higher volume. And the key to it is really just doing as much as you can in chunks and getting it done.
Yeah. So how are you doing in your classes this semester?
So I'm not positive about all of my grades exactly at the moment for the final end of the semester, but they're all within the A or B range except for one. But that class I'll be taking a pass, no pass option, so I'm not actually worried about the average itself. But outside of that class, I have all E's and B's for the semester.
Now, what's this pass, no pass option?
The school gave us it instituted a policy for the COVID-19 situation, wherein you can decide whether or not you want to take the letter grade that you received for the semester like any other year or semester, or you can choose to do a pass and no pass, which is where you'll be given a P if your grade is a 60 or above, or whatever the course instructor determines is a passing grade, or it'll be a no pass, which would go as an incomplete on your record, which you just have to make up. Which would be the same as a withdrawal from the class.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on this policy that they've put into place?
It's definitely a good policy, especially for the students who, excuse me, for all of the students who are struggling with the adjustment to living at home or living in a different place than school, and the environment difference, because for a lot of students, being at school is what gives them the ability to get work done and to be responsible and do things on time, is having that structure of school. So being at home and having a bedroom or an apartment or whatever it might be makes it a lot harder for a lot of students to like focus in and hit the next level of work that they need to get everything done. But I think because of that, it's a good policy for all of the students, and it's fair to them as well.
All right. Now, do you think that along with all of those pros that you just mentioned, there are any cons to having pass fail?
Yeah, the only con that sticks out in my mind is one that probably sticks out to everyone, which is the demotivation of work by a lot of students, especially those who worked really hard to secure good grades in the first half of the semester and feel like confident about their security of their grade for the rest of the semester. So it's definitely a con to have students care less about their work when they know that they're going to be backed by a pass, no pass. But it's a tough situation because you have to look at it from both sides and determine whether the pro is stronger or the con. And I think in this case, it's definitely more of a pro to be able to give students the opportunity. So yes, definitely a con, but also a pro.
So what about for you? I know you're leaning more towards pro, but for you individually and not students as a whole, how would you say?
For students, for me personally, I was not ahead of the 8 ball this semester, so having the ability to catch up with a little bit of security, knowing that if I had a D or a C, I'd be able to write that as a P on my transcript is great. But for a lot of other students, it's not even affecting them because they already have such high marks and they have A's and B's, and they're prepared to take all of their number grades and all of their letter grades in the classes. But overall, the campus is definitely happy about the option.
So you mentioned you were behind the eight ball a little bit at the beginning of the semester. Do you think that played more of an impact as to why the pass fail would be a pro for you? Or do you think that the pandemic would have set you back a lot more?
I think that was definitely a huge part in why it was so motivating and positive for me to have the option to take pass no pass. I think that for anyone who starts slow, starts their semester slow with their work or their attendance or both, in my case, it definitely gives you a little bit of leeway, but it's also like simultaneously a push forward because it's telling you, you know, you have the option to go all in for the rest of the semester and get high grades, but it won't be a matter of I'll either get an A or I'll get like a C plus or a B minus and be mad about it. It's just if I get a good grade, I can take my grade, and if I don't get a good grade or don't get what I want, all I have to do is pass and make sure that I do at least the bare minimums and make sure that I can get a passing grade. So I definitely think it's a good thing overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, switching from environments, whether you have good grades or not, is definitely a hard change because a lot of students have learned a majority of their what's going to be on their final exam during their in-class sessions. And for some people, it's a lot easier to take exams in person and not have the distractions of family and other things around. So I definitely agree with you.
Definitely, I agree about the distractions too. It goes both ways because at home there are definitely distractions you're not prepared for because obviously of the unique environment you're in with everybody having to share one space. But I definitely miss an aspect of taking tests in class. It definitely made me zone in more on my work and kind of give myself a little bit of tunnel vision, which I definitely don't have as much of at home. But the flip side of that is being able to take a breather, take a break in the comfort of your own home and relax a little bit if you're feeling stressed. So
yeah. So what kind of breaks and like distractions have you been taking to kind of take some of that stress off?
So the main thing I like to do to take a break is go outside. I'll just kick the soccer ball around in the yard or play basketball in the driveway. But just the little things that get my body moving make me feel better about sitting still for another 3 hours and using just brain power. Listening to music definitely helps. It's always good to eat 3 meals during the day too, because if you space your schedule out, then the work won't feel as long. If you don't, like for instance, if you don't take a lunch break, you could work from 10 to 4 and burn yourself out for the entire day, and you'll feel really, really bad afterwards. And you might get a headache, you might feel groggy, because you didn't structure your day with a break for you to take time for yourself. So I definitely think that little breaks, 20 to 30 minutes, are the best length of breaks.
Yeah. Do you ever take breaks over 30 minutes?
Yeah, I definitely take some breaks over 30 minutes. If I take a break for lunch, usually I will do some work, eat lunch, wait about 15 minutes and digest it a little bit, and then I'll go outside and work out. So usually that's at least an hour or an hour and a half. But I just like to make sure that I have time blocked off in the middle of the day for me to do anything but school, so that I can feel better about getting back into the groove in the afternoon instead of feeling like I'm draining myself the entire day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that we've been